Welcome then to ESPN FC Live. I'm Dan Thomas on the day that the bracket is now set for the quarterfinals of the Euros. In today's show, we'll be looking ahead to those quarterfinals, plus reflecting on what we saw today. Beth and Sam are with us, and as I'm proudly wearing the three lions, Beth, they managed to avoid any sort of banana skin when it came to the Welsh. And in the end, as a contest, it was over after 10 minutes, after that penalty was awarded early, and that was pretty much it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, an unfortunate way for the game to start for Wales, obviously set the tone for what ended up being a difficult night. But from an England perspective, ultimately, they just had a job to do. And you could tell straight away that, they came out all guns blazing, showed absolutely no mercy to Wales and some really good, really well-worked goals as well. And yeah, I mean, it's probably not the truest reflection of England's, of where they're at the moment. Wales, as much as it's been fantastic to see them at this tournament and all of the sort of the sentimental reasons and great for them to get a couple of goals as well, that there is a gulf in quality between them and England in terms of the calibre of players in the squad. So there'll be much tougher tests to come, but ultimately today was just about getting the job done, and England did it and were ruthless in the way that they went about the business.
Yeah, ruthless with 6 different goal scorers, Sam.
Yeah, I think that was important as well. I think it was nice for Alessia Russo to get a goal. Obviously, she's been having a really good tournament, but she's been creating goals. She's had a couple ruled out for offside. So I think it was nice for her to finally get on the score sheet going into the knockout rounds, to have that sort of, that weight off her mind, if you will, going into what will be a big game now against Sweden. Obviously, also a nice goal for Beth Mead, Beaver Jones off the bench also. Really good for them just to have it going into the knockout rounds. But a bit like what Beth said, really, it was just important to get the win. I think the thing, they're always likely to beat Wales. I think the manner of the win was convincing enough for us to sort of completely not write off that France defeat or that France performance, but as a continuation of the Netherlands result, it puts them in a good place going into the knockout stages.
Yeah, that's interesting. We'll talk about whether or not, in fact, it was a blessing in disguise when it comes to the bracket in a moment, Beth. But do you think it kind of gave everyone a kick up the backside and a bit of a reality check? The manner, of course, in which they lost that opening game, given what we've seen from the second and third tie in this group stage?
Yeah, I think the most worrying thing with that first game wasn't necessarily the result. It was, as Sam said, it was the performance. England, bar the first 10 minutes, was so poor in that game, and they were second best. They lost pretty much every single duel. All of those 50-50s went France's way, and France just looked a lot sharper, a lot more determined, a lot more aggressive. And I think that was a reality check. You can have off days, but when you get to a major tournament, you're going to get punished if you have an off day, particularly when you're up against a team as strong as France are and as ruthless as they are. We've seen that obviously with them tonight coming back against the Netherlands as well. So yeah, I think it was in a way maybe a little bit of a blessing. I think, as you say, in a sense, that the bracket and the quarterfinal draw and the semi-final draw that England are now going to go on to have, it is probably slightly more favourable. But ultimately, I think it just reminded everyone, fans and the players as well, that when you get to this stage and you get to playing at a major tournament against these top nations, you can't afford to take your foot off the gas even one bit. And I think England's, the way they've responded has been brilliant, and hopefully they can carry that on into the quarterfinals.
And something we haven't been used to of late, Sam, back-to-back victories.
Yeah, back-to-back victories. Just coming back to the point that Beth's making, well, what you were saying really about the motivation as well. I mean, tournaments are filled with, teams that go on to win it who lost the first game. I mean, England didn't win the World Cup in 2015, but Lucy Bronze has made that point that they lost the first game there, and that sort of galvanised them to go on and get to the semi-finals, which was sort of, new ground for them at that stage. Obviously, we just have to go back to the last Men's World Cup and Argentina losing their first game and going on to the World Cup. So I don't think that matters too much now. It is interesting with the draw now. I don't know how soon we want to come on to it, but it's a bit of a case like, I mean, I suggested that perhaps Sweden would beat Germany. They're probably quite similar teams, but it's a bit of a, would you rather have Sweden now and then possibly, Italy or Norway in a semi-final, or would you rather play Germany now and then have to play Spain? So I think England, through a little bit of luck, have ended up like coaches will say there's no favourable side of the draw, but I think it's definitely a better route to the final. Although to win the tournament, you're probably going to have to beat Spain anyway. at some point.
100%, 100%. Let's take a look at the bracket a little later on, but let's just focus on that remaining game that we saw, which of course being played at the same time, France against the Netherlands. And this was an interesting tie because of course 2-1, and you thought, well, the Dutch have a chance here to cause a bit of an upset to a team that many have been so impressed with so far. But then France really turned it on, didn't they, in the second half, Beth?
Yeah, they did. I mean, I've been really, really impressed with them over the course of the tournament. I think tonight obviously showed that they do have weaknesses and they can be got at. But I think, you know, it's a huge check against the name that they've overcome, because they must have been feeling some pressure when they went behind, knowing that the job wasn't done for them. You know, coming into tonight's games, they probably felt and looked on paper like the safest bet to be going through to the quarterfinals. And so for there to be a point in the game when that was hanging in the balance a little bit, for them to respond in the way that they did, and some great goals as well. Cascarino has been a fantastic player over the course of this tournament and was fantastic again tonight, getting a couple of goals as well. But yeah, they're just ruthless, France, and they've got so many good goal scorers. And yeah, maybe defensively, without the likes of Wendy Renard in the team, there is areas where they can be got at, which I think we saw in flashes. But yeah, they've got to be among the favourites now going forward into the rest of the tournament.
And Sam, it's a great thing about tournaments like this. If you didn't know who Delphine Cascarino was going into the start of this tournament, you certainly do now. What a talent.
Yeah, she's been absolutely brilliant. I'm sure all the guys in the US obviously know all about her, obviously playing over there in the NWSL. But yeah, she's been fantastic. And her first goal tonight was absolutely brilliant. I thought she was fantastic against England as well. Obviously, Baltimore as well on the other flank against England. France are a bit of a funny one, because after that first game against England, I was thinking, hello, they could be a really serious team. It's difficult to judge their performance against Wales because they made so many changes, but they weren't as good despite winning 4-1. And again tonight, back to their full strength team, even winning 5-2 again. There was that spell in the second half where they turned it on, but in the first half as well, they weren't great. So I'm a little bit unsure now whether they have the potential to sort of, you know, really test a Spain or even an England again if they were to get to the final and meet England again. I'm in a little bit in two minds. Obviously, that attacking talent, you know, Cascarino in such great form. Baltimore, we've mentioned the midfield has been good. But, I mean, sometimes I think perhaps we're grasping at straws a little bit. We do it with Spain a little bit, saying, oh, you can get them from set pieces or you can beat them in transition. And perhaps maybe I'm doing that a little bit with France because they're sensational in attack.